Would he regret the decision?
Only from the moment he signed. I mean, of course he would regret the decision. Look, KD does not like the negative stuff that comes with being a superstar. And by the way, why should he like it? Like, what does KD do exactly except play basketball practically perfectly? You know, sometimes you could see a guy play ball and you can tell the personality they have. KD is always trying to do the right thing on the court. And by the way, in his life, he wins awards for philanthropic work that he does. So all he does is play basketball practically perfectly and then give of his time and money and effort to make the world a better place. And yet every other word he reads and hears about him is negative. Why should he like that? And he's going to go to New York City, to the Knicks, run by the worst owner in the NBA, who runs a paranoid franchise. It starts at the top. Fish rots from the head down, and Knicks are a rotten fish. This is the guy who got Charles Oakley removed from the Garden, who had a fan banned for life because he said sell the team, who told Michael Kay during an interview set up because he foolishly believes that he can present himself in a good light, not understanding that when the light shines on him, he will only ever look bad, because that's what his behavior has dictated. The coverage by the press will be who he correctly identifies as hostile toward the Knicks because they have a very bad owner, and the press is shining a light on it. When Michael Kay said, hey, the Knicks are a public trust, which is what, like, the Warriors owner says about the Warriors, which is what the Buss family has always said about the Lakers, you know, the really successful franchises. He says, no, they're not owned by the public. It's not a public trust. They're owned by the shareholders, and I'm the majority shareholder. Got it, Dolan. So what you're saying is the financial success, that's you and the shareholders, and the competitive lousiness, the competitive utter failure, miserable, and what must feel like humiliating failure in terms of the competitive product seems to go very well together. It's not a public trust. It's your ability to bilk the public out of money. Kevin Durant wants to put himself in that position where he's going to be facing a hostile press from day one. Stephen A., if he wants to go to New York, go to Brooklyn, where they have a good thing going, where the whole press doesn't hate the team because they haven't alienated that press for the last several decades, where there's a team on the rise who also has cap space and draft picks and all this stuff and young ascending talent. KD could deal with New York if he's in Brooklyn, but deal with the Knicks mess? Why would he do that to himself?
Do we still have time on this segment?
Yeah.
Let me say this. First of all, he might go to Brooklyn. That's number one. Number two, it all depends on who he goes with, because regardless of all the things that you said about James Dolan, the one thing that James Dolan doesn't do is get in your way when you're on the court. You get to perform. KD's a career 27-point-per-game scorer on 49% shooting, 38% from three-point range. You know what? This man is averaging 26 right now on 51% shooting. The brother is big time. I consider him to be the best in the game at this particular moment in time. We've had that discussion. What I'm saying to you is that if KD goes to the Garden by himself, everything Max said is right on point. If he goes with another star, and the Knicks have cap room for two max players, and those two stars, because this is the sport of basketball, it's not like football. This is basketball. If you've got two stars, all you need is some supplementary parts to be respectable. You're in the Eastern Conference, which isn't the West. Two stars could potentially get you to the conference finals. I don't know what KD is going to do, and I don't particularly care at this moment in time. I will care come summertime. I will care once the finals are over, but I don't care right now. But I will tell you that if you're Kevin Durant and you show up at the Garden, not that this is going to happen, but if Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard showed up at the Garden, you think that the paranoid Knicks organization could stop them from winning games? It wouldn't happen. If Kevin shows up with a healthy Kyrie Irving, you think that could stop the Knicks from winning games? No. If Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, which of course is not going to happen, both ended up departing for the New York Knicks, you think that's not going to help them get to the postseason and make some noise in the Eastern Conference? Of course it will. So all I'm saying is you got to take that into consideration. When LeBron James decided to go back to Cleveland, I recall Max Kellerman, even though it wasn't to the degree that you go off about James Dolan, but you went off about Dan Gilbert. and how inept you felt
Correct.
that he was. But we also recognize that it was LeBron James. And yes, we understand he was going home, but you didn't have much faith in their ownership. And I said, excuse me, but you got faith in LeBron. You got faith in what he can do when he's on the court at the time. And what did he do? Go to the finals every single year he was there and win a chip. If KD goes to New York, despite everything you said about Dolan, he's still gifted enough, especially if he has help. He is still gifted enough to go to the conference finals in the Eastern Conference. And if that happens, I think that's something that would be great for him. And I'm not even saying that the Knicks are the best place for him to go. I'm just saying that it's not as awful as you're painting. James Dolan might be. But the Knicks organization with Scott Perry and Steve Mills, no, it's not that awful.
Look, the Knicks organization is awful because of Dolan. I will say that the people they have there now are good people. From the front office to the coach, like, you know, even the PR people are a lot better than they used to be. But they still take their marching orders from a, you know, really like the worst owner in the NBA. So and therefore things like why'd they have to trade Porzingis to get out of cap problems? Well, that's not these guys' fault. That's the previous administration put in place by Dolan. He is the constant. I will say this. These guys that we're talking about on the level that KD is on or Kyrie is on are thinking about their businesses. And if you can win in New York with the Knicks, you can be $1 billion business. The question is, can you? Can even KD and Kyrie, I don't think conference finals is enough, win a championship with the Knicks? And I think the answer is no. The Nets are another story.
As awful as the Knicks organization has been, yes, a conference finals berth would be enough. Make no mistake about that, at least for the immediate moment. And in terms of Dolan, we don't necessarily disagree.